Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach Finch. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. It's build up now, isn't it? It's not long before. I'm just really wish, Greg, that some of the news that we could talk about today wasn't like really weird, strenuous links from a journalist somewhere that said something maybe, except all of our outgoings, which are like being reported by mainstream outlets.
Look. It's everyone's favourite day of the week, first of all. Let's get it out of the way. It's Transfer Tuesday. And here's the thing, Zach. What you have to do is take confidence in the fact that with Saints, frequently we have seen that you don't hear anything about the signings until they're in the door. They're just under the radar, quiet, calm, bang. You'll get a rumour on the Sunday, maybe, like, oh, we're going to sign a player tomorrow, and then bang, club announcement. So we don't need to worry that we're not linked to anyone. Doesn't matter. It's all going to come good in the end. Doesn't matter that we've got 4 days until the season starts. It's fine. Everything's going to be fine.
Look, I'm not wanting to sign people for the sake of signing them, right? Like, that's never what I've been about. However, it is starting to get a bit like, oh, are we again, there were meant to be 3 sanctioned transfers. 2 of those have been completed, and the other one is apparently a massive struggle to get over the line. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that's on top of the fact that people are still having a worry about the goalkeeper. And I know I went on a whole thing about that yesterday, but like, it's just a bit concerning because we're supposed to be winning the championship and coming straight back up. And it's like, goodbye every single player you've ever known, which is kind of what we wanted, but we've not really replaced them a lot. No. Let's talk about it. Let's just talk about it.
You want our outgoings first or our incomings first? We
always want to end on a potential high of maybe some players coming in. So let's talk about all of the players that are being butchered left, right, and centre to leave our club.
All right, well, let's do it. Okay, let's start at the top of my list and work my way down. So obviously we talked about it yesterday, but in the interest of fully covering all of the bases, Aaron Ramsdale leaves Southampton on loan with an option to buy to Newcastle for the season. Not entirely unexpected.
No.
Wage packet off the bill is... I mean, look, nobody's tried to hide all summer that this was going to be the case. So, yeah, we talked about it a lot yesterday. Anything else to add?
It is what it is. Weird to see someone want to leave and play second fiddle. Understand why.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, officially leaving the club, Sonny Davis out on loan to join his dad, Kelvin Davis, at Eastleigh, which is an interesting one. Yeah. Logical youth movement out.
Yep.
That's it. There's just not a lot to say about that. But, in the interest of reeling them all off, the big one, Zach. Tyler Diblin. We today apparently knocked back our 3rd offer from Everton for Tyler Diblin. Rumours that it was 35 million up front with potential 8 million of add-ons, and that's not hitting the price point that we want. So that's been rejected as well.
Pay us the money. Simple as that. Like, if we end up getting like sort of 50, I could see him going for Lavia money, right? I could see him going for sort of 50, 60 million quid for an academy prospect that almost left us not too long ago. That, if he is not, if his head isn't going to be here, similar to like the Newcastle Isak thing, right? Then I don't necessarily want him to be here anymore. You said it yourself, like, it would be really good if he had a season under the Championship, potentially come back up to the Premier League. If he is very, very heavily involved with leaving and it feels like that this is just more of an inevitability than anything else, I'm not hugely upset by it. It's just a bit frustrating. But we knew this was going to be the case. There were rumours flying around January last year after Manchester United played against us once. They were talking about buying him.
Rumour is we're holding out for 45 million, and whether Everton have deep enough pockets to dig that far, especially after completing the transfer of Dewsbury Hall today as well. I don't know. It'd be
How
interesting
desperate
to
are
see
they?
how
Because
this one
we
plays
don't
out.
we don't need to sell. This is the thing where people are getting mad about the fact that, like, why are we selling our best players and we don't need to sell? It's like there's a difference between not needing to sell and then, like, from a like financial standpoint, and then needing to sell from a personnel standpoint. And like, if again he stays and he's miserable and then he puts in bad performances, and rather, regardless of whether or not they should do that, and we feel like people shouldn't down tools to force a move and this and the other, like, I would rather have somebody that is unhappy and doesn't want to be here leave and
Yeah.
get a massive payout for them than stay and then potentially end up being a detriment down the line,
Yeah. Not that I think that might be the case with him. I think I feel like he
No.
probably seems quite happy to stay. He played 60 minutes on Saturday. I don't think he grew up dreaming of playing for Everton, did he? Let's be honest. It's not one of the like big, glorious big clubs that he'd be wanting to move to. It's sure probably regular minutes in the Premier League, but
Yeah, it'll be where I'm at. Is it will be what it will be. I don't think it will be the end of the world, but it's got to have affected him psychologically, being linked, like, having a price tag of 100 million and then just being linked non-stop since he basically broke into the first team. And basically people say, regardless of whether or not you believe it, if somebody constantly tells you something, after a while it becomes, it will sit in the back of your mind. And that's kind of where I'm at with it, is that, if he kind of is decided, actually, no, I do want to go on to better things or whatever, then fine. But I'm not going to be super mad if he goes, and I'm happy if he stays. But I'm also not going to be one of those people that are like, well, that's it. We've thrown everything away. Ah! You know what I mean? I hope you know what I mean.
I do. Look, it's an interesting one, and it's I'm sure going to continue to be a main talking point until he either stays or doesn't. Right? It's gonna because he's such a hotly sought after talent because of his impact last season, and it's going to be what it's going to be. I hope he stays.
He probably just
and
wants to
does
go
well.
back to playing football in a way that it must be infuriating to be surrounded with this much noise, just like every time, just trying to do your job. Like I could imagine having like 4 or 5 people trying to contact me on LinkedIn, let alone like agents trying to get hold of me, etc., on a daily basis. And we'll see what happens. But I guess what I'm trying to do, Greg, is cushion the psychological blow for if all of the 3 players that we didn't want to leave. There you go.
Okay, a couple more on the out list to talk about, but first time for a break and a message from our partners at Bionique.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body.
And we are back. Okay, wrapping up the outgoings list, Zach. Our Japanese striker from, I believe, from the under-21s, Takaoka. I'm sorry, everyone.
It's a good try, Renato. Right, the guy that he came along. He came alongside Masuki when he joined. Right.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
he was
right.
the one that immediately. Also, I can't remember if he immediately went out on loan to Giuseppe as well. I should.
I believe so.
I'm pretty sure I talked about all of that in that episode, but it was nice to know where he is, because there was a whole thing where, like, for a while, no one quite knew where he was. So
he's been seen training with Valenciennes, our French sister club, likely to be going out on loan there for the rest of the season to develop and see what comes of that deal.
It's a good move. Only 18, so
yeah, well, it's one of those things, right? We've got a really bloated squad at the moment. Even with sort of all of the players going, we're still, not in a position to be giving all of the youth that we want to be seeing come through minutes. And someone that's going to take time to settle. There's all sorts of settling to do for him. There's presumably some language barrier, and it's a completely different style of play to settle into. and he's really young. So
Yeah, so
it's
it's
good.
a
It makes sense to go out and get him minutes.
positive of the multi-club model, right? Like it's almost like having a better affiliate club. Usually we'd send out a lot of sort of people to Eastleigh. So having, for me, it's a small advantage of the multi-club model and gets our players experience across different leagues before bringing them back if they're good enough. And if not, well, we know what happens there. They stay for 20 years.
Yeah. 2 more left on my list. No solid links that I can find for Joe Eribo, but a mention from Will Steele in the post-Brighton press conference that he's had a couple of offers and he's been given time off at the moment for headspace to try and work out where he's going to end up. The implication being that he will move on this summer rather than seeing the contract out, right?
That makes sense, because if not, he's gone the end of the season anyway, right? Like maybe he would re-sign with us, but I have a feeling that this was talked about the middle of last season. Like there was a conversation around the fact that his contract ends. He will probably be one of the ones that goes at the end of the season. It might just be a simple case that like the offers that have come in are not offers that he wants to pursue, right? Like unless Martin's hitting him up to go back to Rangers, I don't really see it being, a Premier League club or something like that. And that might be why he's now having to spend some time going, oh, okay, well, I thought that, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing him go to Turkey or something like that, right? Like he might end up making the move that Carl Walker-Peters almost made until he was like, actually, West Ham have come in for you, mate. He's like, oh, thank God I'm not moving to Turkey. Like it feels, it's a bit of an odd one. And like, he had such a big impact last season, but we've always stood by the fact that we describe him as hot and cold, right? He's a very hot and cold player. It really, really depends on the system, depends on what's going on. He'll have a little run of form. We'll miss the Eribo chance if he goes. But like his impact during the pre-season, I think he managed like an assist. So but if he's not here and doesn't really want to be here, if he turns around and goes, right, I actually want to stay at Southampton and see out my contract, fine. But also if we can get a bit of money for him and he goes, like I kind of would be leaning towards more of that, because we don't want that many players leaving without getting a fee for them, right? I don't know how I feel about that, because I don't know. It's
happened a lot to us the last few years, right? It happened with Adams and then with Walker-Peters and with Stewie Armstrong. It's a bit of a pattern.
It's not great. And I think that, he was one of the ones that was brought in, I think, at the start of our first relegation season. So, he's been with the club a while. I wouldn't be surprised if he decides that he wants to move on. And there was a lot of talk around it. But the fact of the matter is, there's been no, you've said yourself, there's no like concrete rumours. Like apparently there's been some offers, but I feel like if they were definite rumours he'd want to go for, like definite clubs that he wanted to go for, he'd be jumping them, right? And that doesn't seem to be the case. So
no.
I don't know. It's a strange one, but I don't know how much we'll miss him in the midfield that we have now. That's where I'm at. Like if you look at Downs, Matsuki, and Eribo, like, and also Shea Charles, like who Eribo will be in that probably top 3, but I don't know if he's somebody that I'm like every week needs to be starting. So then is he count as the bloat? Not necessarily. I think that'll do him a disservice, but with all of the, the fact that he might just go for nothing, I'd rather him go for something now and we reinforce down the line.
You're right. Look, he's such an interesting one because he's one of these ones that has these moments, but like you say, he's so hot and cold, and when he's cold, he's quite cold. I still think we should have stuck him goal at least once just to give him the full bingo card of positions played, but there we go.
It's almost similar, I think from a personal perspective, he was really good mates with Onuachu and Sulemana, right? Both of them have moved on now. So from a perspective of where you fit in the group, that probably isn't, that probably like plays into it a little bit as well. Maybe he's realised like, okay, all of the people that I would hang out with have kind of gone now. So maybe it's my time to move on. Also, in a similar like vein to Sulemana, he had his moments of like, you can see it there. There's like flashes of brilliance, but not enough. But I think with Eribo, there was more than most, right? Like he scored all our goals last season until a striker actually managed to take over. Wasn't a lot, but that was still moments where he decided to have a pop, scored the goal, and had his own theme music for a goal, which is great. But yeah, I think you're right.
I think part of the reason he's so hot and cold is that he's quite a versatile player.
Yeah,
and like we talked about with, I think it was Smallbone a bit last year. He's just a
jack
bit
of
of
all
a
trades, master of none.
So therefore, he struggles in certain positions. It's just, look. I would be a bit sad to see him move on, but also I don't know where he fits in the lineup, so it kind of is what it is. And the big one till last act, but I don't think we'll have a huge amount to say on it because we've talked it to death. It's been the talking point of the summer. No official bids as of yet that we've heard of for Matty Fernandez, but the vultures are circling. 12 to 13 clubs interested. The latest word being that Saints are bracing themselves for bids.
So West Ham was the one that we heard a lot about, with their owner being like, "Oh, fine, we can't, afford him," and they're like, "You guys suck because you won't sell him to us for like 40 million or whatever." And it's like, yeah, okay, boohoo, whatever. But he was the one that's like, "Don't worry, there are other clubs." And like links that I've seen that seem quite big, like Atletico and Juventus, right? So they're quite big clubs. Do we know what the other 10 clubs are? Are there any there that are like, potentially Sporting? I think we've talked about.
Just seeing this magic number thrown around of 12 to 13 clubs with no backing or like list of who these clubs are. Just there's lots of interest.
Is it? Because it could, it could just be Georgie Mendes rattling the cage, right? Because it could just be that like Bournemouth have looked at him. They've looked at him, so that means that there is definitive interest for a bid. I am not saying that I do not think that there will end up being some crazy bidding war, but like whatever we end up with, I'm just hoping we reinvest it properly. I think is my big fear, because it seems like we're going to end up building up quite the war chest and unfortunately, I think that he will be a casualty, and it must be awful. And like we talked about yesterday, the whole was he actually ill? Again, I think that if you have severe anxiety because you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your future, that actually counts as an illness. That's just me personally, but that's kind of where I'm at with him. And it's going to be interesting. And I worry that it's going to be a very we're going to have at least 2 or 3 games of the Championship before he goes. And it's going to be one of those sort of situations which would be really, really frustrating. Like how in our first Championship season, both James Ward-Prowse and Romeo Lavia also played, and Charlie Alcaraz last season. It's like
Nathan
weird,
Teller.
Yeah, exactly. More
Teller basically scored that goal until it got taken away because it literally hit Adam Armstrong on the head. Don't forget that.
I forgot about that. That was good. That was a good goal. But that's the point, right? It's one of those things that when it comes to, I can't work out how much of it is an explosion of noise from an agent and how much of it is definitive. Because if what you've said is no official bids have been put in yet, you'd think, why wouldn't someone start it? Why would someone open it?
Let's hope no one does. That's it.
We can hope, mate. We can hope.
Just a little piece of breaking news that's come across my screen at time of recording. Everton have cooled their jets on the signing of Tyler Diblin and are reluctant to meet the Saints' asking price. The valuation gap is significant, and they are thinking they might not continue with that line of pursuit.
Well,
so
that makes sense. They put in a bid for what originally 27 million.
27,
which if you valued a player at least at 50, the actual valuation originally being 100 million. What did you think you would get that for? Half price, our already cut down asking value. We don't have a need to sell to you. Like that, okay, he might not sign a new contract and he might go, whatever, but you can't. It's baffling. Oh, well, okay, well, we'll see. They might just throw in their toys at the pram a little bit, I'm sure.
Right, we're going to move on to the much shorter list of players we've been linked to, but first a message from our partners at Zencastr. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner, with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr. Okay, and we are back. So, a few that we already touched on but have seemingly progressed a bit. The Armenian, I'm going to start with the difficult one, Zach, and by difficult I mean to pronounce. Armenian attacking midfielder Spretsian. Apparently, we have tabled a €12.5 million bid for him.
Interesting.
Yeah, so maybe
he's one we've talked about previously. So the idea that we've actually put something in place is more interesting than not. Whether or not,
I mean, this could be the that third signing that was sort of pre-approved, but could be any one of those things making it take this time, right? Who knows where and what in the process is the hold up for it to be this point. But I feel like we've mentioned him at least 3 times on Transfer Tuesday, so we will see how that one plays. Also, we have placed an €8 million offer to Alaves for right winger Carlos Vicente, which is likely to be rejected, but is sort of the foot in the door style of bid by the looks of it. There's also interest from Olympiacos and Krasnodar in him, so some kind of bidding war potential there to maybe get out of hand. But look, there's some movement from us, right? We're doing things, right? Proper bids going out.
No. As I said, I think I don't want to worry, and I guess my argument for not worrying as much is that Jay Robinson came out of nowhere and has ended up being quite good. Yeah. We haven't really spoken about the fact that there was a lot of movement around Adozie, and then that kind of seemed to have either cooled or not. But so that might mean that we end up keeping him. Look at the fact that when it comes to sort of the midfield, we didn't expect Cisse to be a breakthrough prospect, and he played really well the other day. Considering all things considered. So, we have a really, really healthy academy, which is, a source of players if everything goes wrong.
That's it. Right.
And I don't think it's all going to go wrong. I think that there's still time for us to bring in reinforcements, and I think there's still time for them to make their decisions. And I know it's a point we keep banging on about, Greg, right? But it's like selling a house. All of these things start moving as soon as other things start moving. Like the whole Ramsdale thing happened because James Trafford eventually got re-signed for Man City, which is because Burnley knew that he was probably going to go in the summer. And all of those things are just this big interconnected web that needed to happen for Ramsdale to end up at Newcastle. And
exactly.
I feel like it's just that a lot of the things that we want to do probably require all of those things to fall into place.
Absolutely.
And by the looks of it, a bit of a nice update is that I would consider keeping both either Diblin or Fernandez as a transfer in, essentially, because we've spent 100%. So much of our time thinking they're gone. And at least from my perspective, trying to build it up it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. And it's not, but also...
as well, those are 2 proper bids, but we got a couple of other tidbits. Maybe less solid.
Bit more dubious.
Apparently, we've sent proper scouts out for the 18-year-old Idrissa Guehi.
Okay, he's the one who shares the name with the guy that plays for Everton, right? So he's the one who. Yeah, I think that that for me feels a bit more solid. Having our staff being seen, because any agent could say a bid has been submitted, right? But having actual members of our staff that you can identify in the stands looking at a player says a little bit more to me personally. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's 18, so I don't know if he'll be a first team sign-in or one that will sort of slide the under 21s in the meantime. But we'll see how that plays out, and if anything comes of it. And we have been linked, although it is said we've not expressed any formal interest, but there are links to a pacey winger from Antwerp, Michael Ange Balaquisha. So, I did say we were lacking on the wings, maybe a pacey winger. what
Do
we're
we,
after.
do we know anything about him at all? Or is that literally just it? Is it just he's a bit pacey?
Yeah, he's a bit pacey. So he's from Antwerp, and yeah, he just likes taking players on. He's a wing. I've seen him described as Sulemana-esque, as a quick-footed player, but he's an interesting one.
It sounds strange.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, when it comes to Belgium, like, I look at historically, other than like Toby Alderweireld, right, who was Belgian, but I don't remember if we bought him from the Belgian league or not. I don't think so. But like, if you look at, like, we've had like Gineppo, Onuachu, they've all come from the Belgian Pro League, and I do think that it almost feels like it's a bit more of a jump from some of these other places. I don't quite know why that is. So I'm always a little bit more skeptical than I should be when I see players jump from the Belgian league to any tier of English football. But again, I'll give anyone a chance. But by the sounds of it, that for me sounds like an agent being like, "Oh yeah, Southampton are interested." Then us having to kind of go, no.
I would say it's tenuous at best, but it's out there and it's a name. So it's the slim pickings I've been going on this week, mate. It's it's where we're at. And I guess before we wrap up, a couple of not Saints entirely related, but other interesting transfers. Ukachukwu now signed to Burnley from Chelsea, a permanent deal.
Weird one, that.
Find a fee for that one, but
weird one in general, because it's like, I understand why he probably doesn't want to stay at Chelsea. He's probably not going to get game time, and he probably would have been sent out on loan. After having to struggle through a relegation last season, struggling to go through a relegation again, maybe that's disrespectful to Burnley, but like, let's face it, we all make an assumption that the 3 teams that go up nowadays go straight back down. But like, obviously, if they go down, he'll be relegated with them because he will be contracted to them. And unless he goes elsewhere, it just seems a bit strange. Like, all power to him. I hope it works out, but I would have liked to have kept him realistically if we were just going to pay the money. But
that's where I'm at, right?
Premier League.
The couple of sources on fee I've seen have been that Chelsea have taken about 20 million for him. They paid 23 million for him 2 years ago, and based off of the way that works with the way I understand how that works with financial fair play rules, which is not necessarily the way it works, but how I understand it to work, would mean that means that there's about 13 million of value, 12 million of value on his contract left. So by selling him for 20 million, they've unlocked like 8.5 million or something.
Well, they need it, right? Considering they just seem to be like signing players left, right, and centre.
Well, I just kind of feel like for 20 million, I would have taken him back at Saints happily. Did we even, was that a conversation that was had?
I don't know. It depends, right? Like, because it depends whether or not, Spurs was in by that point. But do you have that conversation with the loan player and go, hey, how would you feel about staying here permanently? And if he turned around and went, no, they probably went, okay, and they just never bothered. And I think he enjoyed his time here, but bear in mind, it took him half a season to get into the team. He only really got into the team under Juric and was one of the better performers at that point. And yeah, I think I would have probably liked to see him stay. He was a solid option, but we've got Shea Charles back, and as we talk about Eribo going, and is he really worth £20 million to us right now? Do we want to spend 20 million quid? That's like, I'm not saying it's close. It shouldn't be close to our record-breaking transfer, but unfortunately, Greg, whether we like it or not, is. Yeah. So it's quite a high fee. Power to him. I feel like he probably would have said no because he wanted to play in the Premier League. He's managed to get a Premier League move. Hopefully it works out at Burnley. If not, could see him also being one of the ones that if they go down, leaves and then tries to move elsewhere again. Or he stays with them and becomes a, Burnley legend, whatever. But you're right. I would have been happily had him stay here, but I just have a feeling that they weren't willing to pay that sort of money for a position we didn't really need to get coverage for, right? If the 3 sanctioned transfers have been a centre-back, because we knew potentially a lot of our centre-backs were going, I reckon Taylor Harwood-Bellis was definitely on that list until he picked up that injury. A winger, because we need a pacey winger and an attacking player. At no point is the word there midfielder mentioned, right? Like, other than sort of, for the kind of role that I'd expect him to drop into. So
it was a creative midfielder we were looking for, right?
Yeah,
Which is
it's
not
not
what
really-
I'd describe more of a holding player. But
exactly.
yeah, it is just an interesting one for sure. Well, yeah, that's it. That's the end of my list, mate. Slightly slim pickings this week. Lots of outgoing buzz, but not a lot of motion.
It's been a theme, mate.
Yeah.
Remember when we said August was going to be where it's at? Let's hope that's the case. Let's hope August isn't just us being stripped apart until
mate, as
there's nothing
the
left.
as the last transfer Tuesday before the season begins, it's almost worryingly quiet on the incoming front, isn't it? It is. I was hoping that our head start would have given us a bit more of an advantage this close to the start of the season, but alas, here we are.
Yeah, as I said, I don't want it to. I don't want us to just sign players for the sake of signing players. But considering we got relegated with one of the worst points tallies ever last season, do we think that almost identical squad is up for coming back up? We all said no. We all agreed on no. The players agreed on no. The new manager agreed on no. The sporting directors agreed on no. And realistically, we've let a lot of people go, who we would have rather have kept. A lot of the people we wanted to go are staying because, again, who wants to buy them? And so far, we've got 2 new players. I
don't know if I agree with that assessment. I think that of the players that have gone, realistically, Ramsdale is probably the only one that would have been on our ideal to keep list, but we knew that he was going to be out the door.
I was thinking more of if Diblin and Fernandez go, because again, I have to live in a world where they're just
that's
going.
If, mate. That's a big if.
I have to live in that world, Greg.
That's the important word in that sentence. But we'll see. Only time will tell. We will see. Okay, well, that is all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for joining us. Zach, thank you as always for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow as we start our proper build to the championship season and start previewing the games and the teams as they come and look ahead. It's starting to get real. It's starting to get exciting. And I'm on the hype train. I'm so ready for it. Let us know in the comments or on social media if you have any concerns about our transfer business so far this summer. What would you like to see? How soon would you like to see it? We are on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. I might have even said one twice there, but we are on them. Let us know. We look forward to hearing from you. As I say, we'll be back tomorrow with a championship preview, but until then, hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you then.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.